call this meeting to order. The first item on our agenda this evening is public discussion, 15 minutes. General statement for public comment. Board meetings are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the official business of the school system. The first 15 minutes of each board meeting is designated for public participation. During this time, members of the public may express opinions and concerns related to matters affecting education or MSAD72 schools. No complaints or allegations will be allowed at board meetings concerning any person employed by the school system or against particular students, as these matters must be addressed using established policies and procedures. Since time is limited, the board requests that groups or organizations be represented by individual spokespersons. And welcome anyone to the microphone who would like to share anything this evening.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Kate Joy. I'm missing. On December 3rd, while being transported through an MSAD72 contracted transportation provider, First Alt, also known as First Student. I thank you for bringing this board together here for this important conversation and for the members of the community who are appropriately enraged by this event. I want to walk through what happened, why it matters, and what I'm asking the board to do to ensure that no other student is ever put in this similar risk. At 6:03 on Wednesday, December 3rd, I received a call from the vendor saying that the regular driver was out due to weather conditions. I raised concerns about winter driving experience and was told a backup driver would come. The company refused to answer my question, and I sent my first of 3 emails of the day to special education highlighting my concern of driver experience in winter conditions. At 7:40, the alternate driver arrived. He could not communicate in English. He had an address in his GPS and signaled that he was good to go with a thumbs up. At 8:10, while leaving New Suncook after dropping off my other 2 children, I found him pulled over on the side of the road. His phone was not working properly, and I stayed with him until he could confirm that his GPS was functioning and his phone was charged and plugged in. He continued on his way. At 8:46, I sent my second email of the day, documenting concerns about the driver's communication challenges and technical difficulties being a safety risk. This was nearly an hour before any indication that something was wrong. I also called her out-of-district placement and asked to confirm when she arrived because I was uncomfortable with the situation. Special education confirmed promptly that they were looking for a new vendor, and I was satisfied by the response. At 9:45, her school called to say that she had not arrived as anticipated, and we remained in frequent contact throughout the day. For the record, she is attending an out-of-district placement near Monmouth. By 10:48, more than 3 hours after her pickup, her school called to tell me that the child had not arrived. I've been in frequent contact as well with special education to say that now, the 3rd email of the day, we had an emergency situation. At 11:08, after realizing that neither the district nor the vendor could account for my child's location, I called 911. I want to emphasize that parent had to inform and initiate an emergency response to a child under district care. Police quickly escalated towards a missing child search and an Amber Alert readiness. I will never forget when the sheriff called me to ask for a description. She was wearing a purple dress with unicorns and matching tights. She had a white backpack with rainbows and a baby doll named Tallulah that she takes with her everywhere. Around noon, another driver, a regular driver from earlier in the year, found them in Lewiston. The company said the 2 drivers would drive together. How they connected with one another and why they did not instead engage law enforcement remains unclear. At 12:40, she was returned to school, and when she arrived, she was distressed, hungry, covering her ears, and nonverbal. She is not a nonverbal student. At 2:30 p.m. when I arrived at her school, and because she was missing for more than 5 hours, and no chain of custody could be confirmed, we had no choice but to treat the situation as a potential safety concern. She received a full physical evaluation at Stevens Memorial, and was referred for a forensic interview as is customary for the hospital policy. This is the level of seriousness of this breach. The next day, I came to learn that the district was still using First Alt to transport students, and I spoke out publicly with my concern due to lack of action. Why does this matter? This is not merely a driver issue nor a simple delay, as you may have heard. It exposes severe systematic weaknesses that MSAD72 holds the ultimate responsibility for as a contractor of First Alt. There was no to limited safeguarding or monitoring of contracted drivers. There was no vetting of language, communication ability, or the technology competency and relevance to rural Maine, which we all know has frequent cell phone outages and lack of coverage. There was also no geolocation or real-time monitoring. In 2025, when I can monitor my Amazon package going door to door and its exact location, for more than 5 hours, the company could not tell me where my child was. There was no emergency activation when a student failed to arrive. Neither the district nor the vendor were aware the student was missing and did not initiate the search, though was very quick to reply once I informed them. Instead, the parent had to serve as a chain of custody and a crisis coordinator between vendor, police, and district. The vendor failed to coordinate with law enforcement. The vendor knew the police were searching but did not provide information timely, and the child remained, perhaps most importantly, in transit even when they were found in Lewiston by the company, rather than coordinating and complying with law enforcement to result in a safe location and transportation to her end destination. The district has continued to use the vendor during an active investigation, allowing the transport of children on the same day and the next, and parents were not notified, preventing them from making informed decisions. And lastly, there's been public minimization instead of transparency. The district had publicly stated she was missing for 1 hour. The record shows she was unaccounted for more than 5. These failures are not administrative oversights, they're government issues that put student safety and public trust at risk. In response to this, I'm here not only to recount the traumatic experience, but to ask for concrete action and to treat this as a teachable moment for all of us in our community. I'm asking, and it sounds like this has occurred, that we suspend or terminate the vendor transportation pending an independent investigation. Second, I'm asking that we commission an external critical incident review of district action and compliance with transportation requirements for special needs at-risk students. Third, I'm asking we implement district-owned GPS tracking and geofencing for all third-party contracted transportation services that is not reliant on cell phone coverage to protect not only our students, but also their drivers. Fourth, I want to require parent notification within 20 minutes if a student fails to arrive, a route deviates, or a vehicle is stopped, and an automated emergency protocol to be activated. Fifth, I would like to see a clear accountability chain for all transported students. And finally, a publicly released findings and corrective action to rebuild the community trust around this event. In closing, on December 3rd, a vulnerable student in this district disappeared for more than 5 hours while in school arranged transportation. And I, her parent, had to lead the emergency response. This should never happen under any circumstance. Ultimately, we need an explanation of how someone headed to Monmouth ended up in Lewiston near his home and returned a child over 5 hours later. Was that driver trying to get help when he wasn't given the tools he needed by the company? Or did he have a more sinister motive? I'd like to believe the former, but any reasonable parent would have the same fear, and this is still under active investigation. I am thankful she was physically unharmed and grateful for the support of law enforcement, the school community, including special education who responded promptly when informed of this, and the healthcare professionals during this moment of crisis. But what we are here to discuss today is not the outcome of this event, but rather how the systematic failures allowed us to get here in the first place, and how we ensure this never happens again. I'm asking you to act decisively, not just for my child, but for every child who depends on this district to keep them safe. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts and suggestions with us, Kate. I appreciate it. Anyone else?
I think you all know me by now. My name's Trish Brunel. I'm from Denmark. I think the biggest communication a school has, problem rather, is communication. I've heard from so many parents, they contact who's in charge, they get the runaround. You guys want to speak to us, but we can't speak to you. We come up here, we ask you questions time and time again. You guys stare at me like zombies. I never get an answer. There is no state mandate that says you guys cannot speak to us when we come up here and ask a question. It's your own personal policy. We can change policy. We vote you in. We can vote you out. We can switch this board all around. You think my organization here a little while ago was gonna vote down the budget because why? Gossip. Everybody spreads their agenda. And what if I told you from day one, I am all about what's best for the children. I unfortunately was not blessed with the ability to have children, but I like to take care of other people's and help them out. We have some of you that won't do as law states because, well, you know, they don't like who's in charge. Doesn't matter if you like our president. We do have laws. Federal law trumps state law. Some state laws aren't even valid if you read them accordingly. They contradict themselves. I've asked you to videotape the meetings because you have these at such odd hours. People are home after work, feeding their kids, trying to get ready for work the next day. They have no idea what's going on. Why are you guys so afraid to have these meetings videotaped? Can any one of you explain to me why it is that you said last time, we fear for our safety? Am I so terrifying, a disabled veteran? Do you think I'm gonna beat you up in the parking lot? Am I gonna chew your ankles? What are you afraid of? People knowing the truth? I beg you, you have people that work in your own school that do television, communication, all of this, and yet they can't figure out how to do it the way every single town does a town meeting and broadcast it. You guys need to start being responsible. Better communication with all of the parents and taxpayers. That is how we managed to break the record of having a large budget vote last time. It wasn't the parents. You even said yourself, never more than 30 people in the history of the school have shown up to vote. We had close to 400. Notice my organization did not vote down the budget, we voted it up because we thought logically. We don't want to pull money away from our kids, taking away programs and teachers. We want what's best for them. We gave you above what you asked. And what are we getting in return? We're getting services that aren't being run properly. I beg you to reconsider, and you should also have time at the end of meetings for those of us that want to speak again, because you bring up things nobody's gonna remember in a month. You really should get a group together and discuss how to run a meeting, because the population doesn't agree with what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 more minutes. Anyone else who would like to share their thoughts this evening?
Just a procedural question. This is Damon Steer, the Conway Daily Sun. I was just wondering if you plan to come out of non-public and then make any additional statements or open up to public again for any time.
No. So what will happen is we'll go into executive session, we'll come out of executive session, and then we'll end the meeting, but we won't be making any further comment this evening.
Damon Steer following up. Just wondering, like, you know, where do we go, but where does the community go from here? Will you have, like, for the next meeting, or if there's something related to this, will it be posted on the agenda? What's your sense of what the next steps could possibly be, and if there's a way you could update us when you come out? That might be a useful thing if you could consider it.
Sure, that's what this meeting is about, so I don't have anything for you right now. There will be a follow-up, however, and we'll figure out how to communicate that to the community.
So that could be on the website, could be
Well,
a letter.
my plan is to at least do an email to the parents, and then we'll figure out how to disseminate that probably through the towns and how we usually put out our agendas. But that's, again, that's what we're here to discuss this evening.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to enter executive session to discuss confidential information under 1 MRSA 4056F. Thank you, and do I have a second? Jane, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of entering executive session? Any against? And abstentions? Thank you. We are now moving into executive session.
Get the views.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah.
Yep.